You never know where you're gonna find a farm these days.
It might be on a city street.
It might be in a box, or it might just be in the house next door. Come on, let me take you where the food comes from. Farmers have always been innovators and creators. They have to be, or they're not farmers very long. Today, it's not just a matter of finding some land and clearing it and off you go. This looks like just a lovely suburban Tampa Bay home, and it is. But it's also headquarters and the farm of the Cactus Hat Mushroom Company.
I graduated high school and I was never a school guy at all. I didn't do well in tests, mostly because I didn't apply myself. But I decided, okay, I'm gonna be a rock star. So I learned to play drums, and I was in different death metal bands with my friends and stuff, and that didn't work. So I tried a pop band, that didn't work. Well, they kicked me out after a year. And that was the most successful band I had been in at the time. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm 24. You know, this is that moment where I have a decision to make. Am I gonna be working at a music store the rest of my life? or gonna actually turn this thing around and just submit, I didn't make it. So I decided to submit, and I was looking up potential careers, and I just couldn't decide on anything until one day I was like, you know, I'm gonna do something crazy. And
You became a firefighter, paramedic,
right.
Worked your way up, put your life on the line, put yourself in the fire, literally. Today, you kind of climb the ladder, no pun intended, but it does work out really well when you think about fire trucks. Now you get to drive the truck.
I can't believe it. Thank God they have air ride seats to lift me up a little bit. It's been awesome. That job gives me the power to do this mushroom farm and not worry so much about finances.
I was about to say, almost every firefighter I've ever known has a second career. Yours started as a hobby.
It did, and I didn't even like mushrooms. I hated mushrooms, I detested them.
You mean you don't like to eat mushrooms?
Correct. When I first started, like 8 years ago, my wife, Barbara, she likes mushrooms. And I heard through the grapevine, even 8 years ago, that there were mushrooms that tasted like crab or lobster and all these different textures. And so I was like, bet. You know, let's find out. Lion's Mane near me, no results, ever. No, I couldn't find oysters, and if I did, they were at Asian markets and they looked horrible. They were dried out. They weren't even in the fridge. The only way to obtain these lion's mane mushrooms or piopinos or whatever is to grow them. You had to learn an entire skill just to get the ingredient you want to try. And there's a lot of failure that goes along with learning to grow mushrooms. You have to learn the ropes. I learned to grow, and I was really good at it, and it turns out I actually did like mushrooms. And some of them can taste like crab in the right setting, and if you season them right, like lion's mane crab cakes is the one I turn people on to prove it. And now there's a movement happening. Like, mushroom farms are popping up everywhere. I get calls constantly on people probing for information. How do I do this? You know, are you hiring? People are starting to want to know where the food comes from. My generation, something changed. And the only mushroom offerings they have are the same button mushrooms they've had their entire lives. That white button mushroom, harvested at different stages, gets different prices. You pay a premium to let it grow a little more and let the cap flatten out. And those mushrooms are good. They're the staple in this country. But people don't know that they have options. And they we'll never know unless people like myself continue to start these farms. And that's the allure to this movement, is you can do it from your house, your apartment.
Tell us about your production. How much can you produce now? Who do you sell to? Where does all this stuff wind up? Because we're not talking about just growing a few mushrooms in a corner of your house.
It's true. When I first started, I realized I was good at it, and I had, these delusions of grandeur. Like, I'm gonna be the most successful mushroom farmer in the world. I started growing as many mushrooms as I can before having account acquisition, right? So I would grow all these mushrooms and have no one to truly sell them to. Early on, that was a difficulty I came across, but over time, I got one chef, and that chef would tell another chef, so on and so forth, and got into stores, and I started making enough mushrooms just to supply those accounts and maybe a little extra to dish out samples. The farm I'm in currently, my house, out of the garage alone, if I really want to, and I'm about to near that, 200 pounds a week of gourmet mushrooms.
Goodness gracious.
At varying prices. So you're looking at, say I grew all lion's mane, and I sell lion's mane for $10 a pound. It adds up. In theory, you could have thousands every week. In a perfect world, nothing ever goes wrong. Chefs keep buying consistently. Anyone can do that from their garage. My garage makes, roughly $5,000 a month when you add in other products we offer, like the lion's mane coffee and stuff. Fire service has given me the power to turn this business into like a real life video game, because I don't rely on it for income. So now that's my superpower.
You can just hit the reset button if you have to.
Yeah, I could play this little game, or I could pay employees to do these things while I grow it. At some point, the account's just gonna keep growing. I could pull from it if I want to, but the beauty is I live frugally and I don't have to. So I have no pressure. I will never die in this game because there's nothing to lose, Like, I have no debt, I don't owe anyone anything, and I don't have to pull money from it. So it's just, I'm gonna be growing mushrooms, forever and ever, it's looking like.
And driving a fire truck.
Yeah, well, that's the fun part. I love that. Our substrate consists of two materials: soybean hulls and hardwood fuel pellets. It's called the Master's Mix. Real simple 50-50 mix. And I've been blessed to start a mushroom farm in modern times because now there's equipment like this bagger that's affordable. When I started 8 years ago, there were no readily available cheap baggers like this one. It's my old drum throne. I thought I was gonna be a rock star when I was younger.
You are.
Here, Elizabeth, come here, help me fold this. So it dumps all the material in one shot, just like that. I'll hand it off. My awesome employee, Elizabeth, will start folding. Typically, we could do about 140 blocks in an hour and a half, and that's with cleanup. But eventually, this whole table will be full, and we'll load it into this cattle trough over here, where it gets steam sterilized. The beauty of this whole setup is you can do this at home. You may not be able to do it on such a large scale like this, in an apartment, but you could do it on a smaller scale using pressure cookers, which is what many people do. And therein lies the beauty of this mushroom farm movement that's going on. Everyone wants to farm mushrooms now. And the beautiful thing is everybody can, because the process really isn't that hard once you learn it. And all the equipment is cheap. You'll do that, you just fold it over. You load it in the trough. And you do that until it's full. Usually we could do about 160 blocks. They're 10 pounds each. And one run, and you'll run that steamer for a full day. They're sterilized, and then after they cool down, we'll take them into the house where I have my lab, but it's my clean room, so to say, and that's where they'll get inoculated, and it's decided what kind of mushrooms we're going to grow.
All right, Joe, this looks like some things I used to bring home from the backwoods back home in Georgia. What on earth are you doing with mason jars full of sketchy brown liquid?
Actually, that one is from Georgia. Hold on. This one has mushroom mycelium in it.
Now, what is the mycelium?
Mycelium is the web-like growth that you see in the woods sometimes when you peel back leaves, but eventually mycelium produces fruiting bodies, which are mushrooms. What we're actually cultivating is mycelium. They come in all different styles and textures. So mycelium for oysters, like this is pink oyster mycelium.
And it's already pink.
It's one of those things you don't even have to label the bag because you just know.
Get the pink one.
Lion's mane is my best seller. That also likes to fruit early if you're not quick enough.
That just looks like a big bag of cottage cheese, Joe.
Yep. And you can see the different textures, like the oyster mycelium. It's pretty hard.
And then that.
And that one's a little, see, it's already breaking when you hit it.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I got to break it anyways to put it in these.
Oh, good.
That's the process.
I feel better now. So.
This one's lion's mane, pink oyster. Basically, when you make spawn, there's no such thing as mushroom seeds. But if there was,
this would be it.
This would be it. Your brain can think of spawn as seeds because we're going to seed every one of these sterilized blocks with whatever mushrooms we want to grow based on demand.
And then from there, it's just a matter of sitting and waiting.
You sit and wait.
So,
and that's where the inoculation, or sorry, the incubation room is.
Maybe while we wait.
Absolutely.
We'll go to the Georgia jar.
Oh, turn off the cameras. So here we have liquid culture. This is one of the more popular ways to cultivate mycelium, just for its convenience. And we have it on a stir bar to mix it up. You have to do this daily. And if you look closely, you can see the mycelium spinning around there. So we're gonna break up the spawn into as many individual grains as we can. So then we can pour it into all of our blocks. That's all. We're going to seal it. We'll label it. We'll make sure there's no air leaks or anything like that. These are mushroom-specific bags that anybody can buy. It has a filter patch on it. We've dumped in some mushroom spawn for lion's mane. And now that we have individual grains, Liz is just going to break up this block, mix them up, and evenly distribute this. One down, 150 to go. Bags have to sit for a couple weeks so they can colonize. And here you see different levels of growth. This one's about halfway done. These are almost 100%. And some of these lion's mane bags are already ready and it's only been a week. And of course, some take longer, like this golden enoki. And it looks crazy. You have all these metabolites and little mushroom heads. When these are done, they simply just get wheeled out on these exact same carts into our grow room. We cut the bags depending on what mushroom it is, and you wait. You wait for the money to grow.
So Joe, this is where the magic literally happens.
Yep. The fun part of having a mushroom farm.
So these are the blocks that you started out with. They've gone through that whole process. How long ago was this block outside just the raw materials that you were putting together?
About 2.5 weeks ago.
2.5 weeks from that
Two and a
to
half,
this.
yeah, a little longer. If you're counting the fruit body, I guess it'd be right around 3 weeks.
Now these are not quite ready for harvest, but how long before they're harvested?
Probably another 5 days, because lion's mane is so dense, so large, it takes a while for that fruit body to form. There are so many studies and articles out with lion's mane specifically, because it's being treated as a natural nootropic. So it's good for focus, memory.
Various studies are showing that regular mushroom consumption appears to improve memory.
Correct.
And possibly have some impact on development of dementia.
Even better if you get it in supplement form, which is a whole market of its own. They come in pill form, they come in liquid extractions. There's a whole market and farms that exist just to make lion's mane supplements, reishi supplements, turkey tail. You know, there's so many different mushrooms that do different things.
I've heard about a lion's mane coffee. Is that just a ground?
Yep, we grind it up with the coffee that we have roasted weekly, and we sell that. So when the coffee is made, drip and French press would be best. It's naturally extracting compounds from the mushroom to put into the coffee.
And it tastes like coffee, or does it have
totally
its own
coffed
flavor?
There's no mushroom flavor.
So there's no taste in it?
No taste. You don't notice mushrooms at all.
So in that way, you're just using it for a hoped for medical benefit.
Correct, and it's very promising. It's said that lion's mane is one of the only natural substances that repairs the myelin sheath around nerve endings. So,
wow.
So if you could think of like a cord, like an electrical wire,
Sure.
There's copper and then there's that rubber casing over it.
That's
the myelin
myelin.
sheath would be the myelin or the covering around your nerves.
And mushrooms rebuild
As we
that.
age,
Sure.
they deteriorate. We start forgetting stuff. What am I in this room for? You know, it's not guaranteed, but it's promising.
What is?
The fact that lion's mane might be able to improve focus and be eventually used to treat dementia. That's the goal.
I'm sorry, I already forgot about it. I'm not.
You got me. You got me.
All right. This is also a delicious mushroom.
Yes.
And this is one that you would turn into a crab cake or a fritter or fake chicken sandwich. I've seen people fry them up and put them on a bun.
I can't grow enough of them.
Wow.
I just can't. At some point, I still kind of am considering just going straight only lion's mane farm.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just so hot right now. Everyone wants lion's mane. That's ready. The hairs are just starting to form. This is the second flush lion's mane.
Can I pick that?
Absolutely.
How do I do that?
Just grab behind it like this and
Like-
gently rock back and forth till it comes off.
Like,
Yep, keep going. Keep
oh
going.
my, I can feel it tearing away.
There you go.
Look at that.
That's a second flush lion's mane. That's probably about a pound of it right there.
Looks
Maybe
like
a little
it
more.
came from another planet.
And they peel so nicely. Like, they have these natural breaks where
Oh, look at that.
you can feel free to open that one up so you can get it inside. And the texture is almost that of like mozzarella.
Yeah.
And you can peel those pieces like string cheese, and that's how you replicate the crab meat or pulled pork. And it's a great healthy option for the
smells
plant-based community.
But this is another one of your big varieties right here.
Yeah.
Look at that beauty.
Careful, it'll fall.
What is this? Tell us about this.
That's a white oyster. We grow mostly blue oyster, white oyster, and lion's mane. That's what chefs prefer. That's the best-selling mushrooms. They have good shelf life, and they taste great. We also grow certain exotics, but those are more difficult, take more time.
Sure. Let's
Open up a box here.
that sounds like a really good idea.
And you're going to harvest these the same way. You just put your hands around it and gently rock back and
Top
forth.
and bottom. And
Yep. In a perfect world, you get the whole
look
cluster.
at that. Look at that.
Nice. And then
Look at that.
beautiful.
Wow. Left one little piece behind.
Yep. And surprisingly heavy.
Bad.
That's probably around 2.5 pounds. That one flush. That's a first flush. The second flush would be a little less, like a pound.
But still, in a block that you made, that started with some horse feed and cattle feed and oats and wood
Yes.
pellets.
Correct. It's amazing, ain't it? And here's the thing about those ingredients. Those are agricultural waste products. There's no use for them. The shell of the soybean hulls, they pelletize it. The sawdust at the mills, they pelletize it. You put those together and add water at 60%, and you can grow food. And then in the end, this is compost, so it's usable again to grow more food. It's bonkers. It's the epitome of the sustainability movement, and people
That's
are just now
nature,
figuring it out.
and that's the cycle, but that's something farmers have always known. Farmers are the ultimate steward.
Correct.
You don't let anything go to waste.
Got to get the most out of what you're using, because you don't have an option most of the time when you're farming. Exactly.
All right, well, let's get these things. We got more harvesting to do, and we got to get a shipment on the road.
That's right.
All right.
Packing up mushrooms from the mighty Brick Street Farms. Brick Street Farms was one of our first accounts, and it's an incredible concept. They've turned shipping containers into vertical farms, and they grow greens. Around 2005, this area, Lutz, Florida, suddenly had a boom in cactus growth. No one knows how they got here, and they were just spread out across all of Lutz at the same time. They all just grew, almost like somebody was messing around and drove around and started planting cactuses. You know, so over time, since it's part of North Tampa, Lutz became known as the Cactus Hat, because it's, you know, it's north of Tampa, so you have this layer of cactuses. So it's a really cool name. It's two words that don't belong together. So, and it's catchy. People remember it, even if they go, "Oh, we got to call that mushroom company a cactus something." You know, that's good enough for me.